Alright, good evening. It is Thursday, September 14th, 2023. We're coming to you from precisealgorithmtrading.com, and I'm going to start here with our automated systems. Did I go backwards? I may have. Yeah, so here's um, the Dow contract, and so we changed contracts today. I think we could have waited till tomorrow, but we changed them today, and we had these new trades, which doesn't really amount to much. Which is, I mean, it does. That feels terrible. 3 negative trades for a day, but again, it's only the beginning of a new contract rollover, and boy, I think that's on the Nasdaq. So let's look at that. Here's the Nasdaq. 1, 2, 3. And then yeah, that's the Nasdaq. Here's the Dow. Here is the Dow. There you go. Today's the 14th, so we had 2 negatives and a positive. So what do we have on the Nasdaq? It's like we're starting all over again, and we don't have a whole lot of past history coming in, which is probably good. We can start up again. If you go back when I do the weekend review, I'll show the whole year, and there's a little bit of when the contracts change. There's some nuance that happens that really you can't control. Um, you know, actually, if I did look, if I would have left the contracts alone today, this system actually looks like it would have gained $9,000. The question is would it have actually triggered? Because it triggers on a volume basis as well, and the question is there enough volume in the old contract after everybody switches or starts switching to the new contract? It gets a little wonky during the contract switch period. So I don't want to get hung up on whether that works or not, or whether that would have been real or not, because it literally is a coin toss. I've had it go either way, and I just don't get hung up in those kind of details. That's the trading deal is like running a casino where you know what the odds are, you know the odds are in your favor, you know you're gaining more than you're losing on a per game basis, and even when you lose a lot, ultimately over time you make money. So I'd love to say that all over again. That is the basis of trading. So that is literally it. It's like running a casino, and you know what the numbers are. And so, anyways, you just can't get hung up on it. Um, and that's the really all of it for the automated trading systems. I put the Russell in here for today. It didn't trade. I didn't go back and see if it would have traded on the new contract. You can see right here I changed it to RTYZ23. It used to be on the U23 if you go back and look at the older videos. And next, the markets, they went up nicely today. So you can see over here on the hourly chart on the right hand side where the little pen is, um, it's all green and almost straight up. And that really shows up in that, well, this is the overnight, that's today, so today is straight up. You can see, although over today, yesterday, and the overnight, this thing has gone really pretty much. I mean, it's a nice move up. Let's look at the SPX because it takes out the overnight and shows the gaps, and you can see, we gapped higher into the move. That is a tell in the markets, and usually, and this is just it's kind of like an advanced play, but when that gap's higher and opens from where it closed to where it opened, it doesn't even matter when it pulls back that hard to there. You can buy in and all you do is set your stop underneath this candle from the previous day, and all you're risking is that, which is it can be quite a bit. But your odds are great that that thing's going to go back and jump higher because it gapped higher. Typically, gaps get filled into the downside after so you make a gap and it gets filled a little bit. This one didn't come all the way back, and you got green in your side, and you got green going on over here, and you certainly have green still on the upside on the weekly chart. And so right now, if you look at wave patterns, we've got a big move down after we had all these big moves up. And so now we've come up. Technically, that's up 1, down 2, up 3. So we've exceeded the previous high, because that would have been a low put in. That's a high. That's a higher low. That's a higher high. That's a higher low. Now the question is, can we get up and get above this higher high and go back up to new all-time highs? So that we don't know. Nobody knows the answer to that. Nobody has a real crystal ball. But all we can do is take it day to day, and we're going to watch for a break of that pivot higher right there. There are all kind of quote-unquote rules in the market, statistics, and at this point, that literally is what I'm looking for: is, are we going to break this pivot higher or that pivot lower? And that's not even the end of the game, because if it breaks this pivot lower and it makes a new lower low, it's still a lower or a higher low than the one back here. It didn't break the total deal. It doesn't really break the total deal until you get down here, which is a lot of risk, but that's just part of the game too. I mean, you don't have to take that kind of a risk. You can just set your stop right there and get out if you get there. And I'll move on. Here's the Dow. So this one isn't green on the daily, and we're going to watch for it to see if it turns green, and it's got a much shorter point to go to break that high right there to make a potential new higher high. And we have target dots to the upside, which is, they're not magically there. They come up there based on a formula, and they wouldn't be there if the odds weren't to get up there. That doesn't mean they're going to get there. It just means the odds are there to get it up there. So, which you can play odds, back to the casino analogy. The Russell went up 25 points today, or 1.4%. It's the laggard in all of this. However, I can say, in the world of trading, people love to look for divergence, and you can see that the true Momo indicator down here looks like it's putting in a higher low in and of itself. I don't know that that would necessarily be a divergence, because we have a higher low going on here too, but it just points out that there's a potential this thing's going higher. So really, when all that comes together, if we start taking out the highs on the Dow, we can watch the Russell, and we can say, well, maybe the Russell will follow through. It doesn't have to, but the chances are that it will. Just like right here, we got the NASDAQ, which has been kind of the leader of everything, and well, let's see if the NASDAQ goes. Really, the Dow's up in the best place. Just looking at this, literally, along with you guys, it's the first time I've looked at it like that. The Dow's in the best place, so the Dow probably will go first. Then the NASDAQ will follow, and then we'll see if the Russell can make it. And by the way, these white lines up here in all these markets, I think it was on the Russell as well, is the 52-week high. And you can see back here where the NASDAQ was, we formed 52-week highs and actually broke them all the way up, which is why they kept being new 52-week highs. Now we've pulled back underneath. We're going to look and see if we can take out the 52-week high, and you can look here and see that the Russell never got up there. The 52-week high is a long time ago. So now, can the Russell get up here? And if it does, that is a giant tell for the market on a longer term basis. If it doesn't and we break this pivot down here, which I've been talking about, then it's a rougher time. That's all there is to it. And what the transport's looking awful lot like the small caps, which is the Russell, and that has to get up and going as well. Although we did hit the all-time or the 52-week highs, and we were pushing them higher, so this one, has a potential to get back up there. Actually, everything's got the potential. It's just a matter of the Russell hadn't made it yet, and I think we'll see. If the Russell takes off like that, that's a big bullish sign for the market. What did oil do? Looks like oil went up. I mean, as far as the USO contracts, the ETFs, they went up by 1.81%. Looks like I'm having trouble getting over to the futures here. Going to have a performance problem. There it is. And it keeps going higher. And I was talking about the candles getting smaller last night when I was going through this. And these are big candles, so the volatility's here. However, the candles are going up instead of down. Alright, that's enough for these markets. Gonna see if there's anything down here noteworthy to go through. Tesla has been moving nicely higher lately. You can see I drew in, this is my drawing a diagonal line just to contain the price, and I'm waiting, and I put an alert on it in case it breaches that before I'm expecting it to just get out with a profit in theory if it does that. We can actually look at Visa, where if I would have drawn that line, today was the day where it broke, and it broke, pretty violently. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with Tesla. And actually, when I closed this Visa position today, it was for a small loss because I've been in it for a while. So it's like no harm, no foul, kind of. Although I gave back quite a bit of gains right there. And that's okay, because that's why I have multiple positions on, because I can keep the gains on most of them, and this violent stuff doesn't have to happen like this across the board. So go back to Tesla. If this thing violently crashes outside of this pivot, I'm just going to have to close it. But otherwise, it's going to keep walking up. I shouldn't say pivot, this diagonal line. If it can just keep walking up the diagonal line all the way to hopefully this short-term target, which is the top of where the price was. And we do have target dots that are formed to the upside just here either this week or last. Alright, last but not least, let's flip over to stockcharts.com. Type in bullish. Look at the bullish percent indexes. The industrials down by 6.25%. And we're at 50% of the Dow. So there's 30 stocks in the Dow, and 15 of them are on a point and figure buy signal, and 15 of them are on a point and figure sell signal. This is binary. It's got to be one or the other. I think it's got to be one or the other. But technically, the actual thing is 15 of them are on a point and figure buy signal, and 15 of them are not. In any case, it gives you that we're at 50-50 right now. The NYA, 48.27% of the stocks in the NYA are on a point and figure buy signal. The transports didn't move today. The NASDAQ up by 0.33%. The SPX, that's the S&P 500, up by 2%. The OEX, the S&P 100, up by 3.85%. And this is the tell I've been looking for that I was talking about last night. And then the NDX up by 1.85%. We have to break 58 to get this thing to flip up to a new column of X's. So we are at 55 on the nose. We need 3 more boxes. I'm sorry, 3 more percent for this thing to flip up to the next. Is that right? It's 3 box reversal. Let's look at the math. It's a box sizes are 2, and it's a 3 box reversal. And this is literally needs to get to 58. So yeah, it's 3% of the stocks in the IndieX. Sorry to belabor that. And that's what we're looking for this thing to flip to a new column of X's. And it sure looks like it is going to do that right now, based on, if you put all this together, what's happened in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, and the fact that we got such a bounce today, and that these internals are also bouncing. There's nothing guaranteed, but it looks like the thing is like, that's what it's doing. It's breaking to the upside. Now, if things fall apart tomorrow based on some report or some catalyst that happens, it is what it is, and we react. So that's what I got for the night. Hope everybody's good. Take care, good trading, and have a great evening.